Imagine standing on a battlefield, thousands of soldiers around you, and somewhere in the enemy lines, a single blade catches the light. And in that instant, fear spreads faster than any charge, any war cry, any drumbeat. Some swords weren't just weapons, they were reputations. Legends that traveled faster than the warriors who carried them. Entire armies had heard the stories before they ever saw the blade in person. Stories of wounds too horrific to describe, of enemies cut down before they could even raise their shields, of warriors who seemed unstoppable simply because of what was in their hand. These swords didn't just win battles, they won wars before the first clash even happened. Because fear itself became a weapon. This isn't about swords admired for their beauty. This is about blades so devastating, so relentless, that their names alone could make soldiers hesitate. Today, we're counting down the top 5 swords that didn't just fight armies, they terrified them. Let's begin. Fear has always been a weapon of war. Long before the first blade was ever swung, commanders understood that a terrified enemy was already halfway defeated. And few things spread fear faster than a weapon with a reputation for horror. Some swords earned this fear through their brutal effectiveness in battle, wounds so severe that survivors carried the scars, both physical and psychological, for the rest of their lives. Others earned it through the sheer skill of the warriors who wielded them, striking with such speed or power that resistance felt pointless. In this video, we're ranking 5 swords that became more than weapons. They became symbols of dread. Blades whose reputation alone could shift the outcome of a battle before a single strike landed. Let's start the countdown with number 5. At number 5, we have the Falcata, a forward-curving blade wielded by ancient Iberian warriors, and one of the most feared weapons the Roman legions ever encountered. Its design alone was terrifying. The blade curved forward and widened near the tip, concentrating incredible force behind every strike. A single swing could cleave through shields, helmets, and even armor that was supposed to offer real protection. Roman historians documented the horror of facing the Falcata firsthand, describing wounds so catastrophic that soldiers were left permanently maimed, limbs severed in a single blow. This wasn't exaggeration for effect. It was a direct result of the blade's brutal geometry, engineered specifically to maximize cutting power. Iberian warriors, known for their fierce resistance against Roman conquest, used the Falcata's fearsome reputation to their advantage, turning hesitation in the enemy's ranks into a battlefield weapon of its own. Fear born from steel, sharpened into legend. At number 4, we have the Flamberge, a sword whose wavy, flame-like blade made it instantly recognizable and instantly feared. The undulating edge wasn't just for intimidation, though it certainly served that purpose. Each curve along the blade was designed to create a sawing effect on impact, causing wounds that were far more devastating than a straight-edged sword could produce. When it struck flesh, the wave pattern tore rather than simply cut, resulting in injuries that were slower to heal and far more painful. Wielded by mercenaries and skilled swordsmen across parts of Europe, the Flamberge became so infamous for the brutality of its wounds that some armies reportedly refused to take Flamberge-wielding soldiers as prisoners, considering the weapon too inhumane for mercy. Beyond the physical damage, the sword's appearance alone carried psychological weight. On a battlefield already filled with chaos and noise, the sight of a rippling, flame-shaped blade moving through enemy ranks was enough to shake the resolve of even hardened soldiers. Some swords cut through armor. This one cut through courage itself. At number 3, we have the Zulfiqar, a sword whose legend goes far beyond its physical form, becoming one of the most revered and feared blades in Islamic history. Famously wielded by Hazrat Ali, the Zulfiqar was known for its distinctive split or forked blade tip, a design that made it instantly recognizable on the battlefield. According to historical accounts, it was gifted by Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, and became a symbol of courage, justice, and unmatched skill in combat. The sword's reputation grew through the battles it was carried into, moments where its wielder's bravery and combat mastery became legendary. Enemies didn't just fear the blade itself, they feared what it represented. A warrior whose skill and conviction seemed unstoppable in battle. Even today, the Zulfiqar remains one of the most iconic symbols in Islamic art, architecture, and military history. Its image carried on flags and banners as a mark of strength and protection. This wasn't fear built on brutality alone. It was fear built on reputation, faith, and unmatched warrior skill. At number 2, we have the Katana, a blade whose reputation for precision made it one of the most feared weapons in Japanese history. Unlike swords feared for brute force or gruesome wounds, the katana's terror came from something different: certainty. Enemies facing a skilled samurai knew that a single mistake, a single moment of hesitation, could end the fight instantly. The katana's razor-sharp edge and the speed of techniques like iaijutsu meant a strike could come and go before an opponent even realized the duel had begun. This wasn't chaotic violence, it was controlled, disciplined, almost surgical. And that precision made it psychologically devastating. Facing a samurai wasn't just facing a weapon, it was facing years of relentless training, discipline, and a warrior bound by Bushido, willing to die rather than fail in battle. Entire opposing forces reportedly hesitated at the sight of samurai ranks, aware that facing them meant facing warriors who had already accepted death as the price of victory. Fear in this case wasn't born from brutality. It was born from mastery. At number 1, the sword that terrified armies, not just through brutality, but through myth itself, the Damascus Steel Sword. Forged using a technique that produced distinctive rippling patterns across the blade, Damascus steel swords became legendary for a combination no army wanted to face: extreme sharpness, incredible strength, and near-mythical durability. Stories spread of blades so sharp they could slice through a falling silk scarf, and so resilient they could cut through lesser swords without damage. During the Crusades, European soldiers returned home with tales of these blades, weapons that seemed to defy the limits of what steel should be capable of. The mystery surrounding how the metal was forged only deepened the fear as enemies faced a weapon whose true power they couldn't fully explain or replicate. It wasn't just a sword, it became a symbol of an enemy who possessed something beyond ordinary warfare: technology, skill, or perhaps something else entirely. When legend and steel combine, fear becomes unstoppable. 5 swords. 5 different reasons for fear. But together they prove something powerful: that on the battlefield, reputation could be just as deadly as steel itself. The Falcata terrified through brutal, devastating wounds. The Flamberge struck fear through horrifying design and merciless damage. The Zulfiqar carried the weight of faith, courage, and unmatched skill. The katana proved that precision and discipline could be just as terrifying as raw power. And the Damascus Steel Sword became a legend of near-mythical strength that enemies couldn't fully explain. What connects all 5 isn't just their sharpness or their history, it's the psychological power they carried onto the battlefield. Fear that spread before the fighting even began. Fear that shaped the outcome of battles before a single blow was struck. These swords remind us that in war, the mind is often the first battlefield, and the right weapon, wielded by the right warrior, can conquer it before the body ever gets involved. Which of these 5 swords do you think was truly the most terrifying? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this countdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more legendary weapons from history.